Hi, my name's Phil. I like to talk about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the latest on the backlash results from Marks and Spencer, particularly advertising on GB News, the mainstream home of hate speech in Britain. A news station which recently attacked the LGBTQ plus community when M&S claimed to be supporters. So why give GB News money then? And it seems that there are thousands asking them that very question in what has become potentially a high-stakes battle for progressive consumerism. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So let's delve into the world of advertising, something where I can add a bit of context myself, given that I make the bulk of my income from advertising. Ever since GB News launched, it has been posting losses of tens of millions of pounds a year, and it's just getting worse. In fact, Nigel Farage has just been complaining. See, a similar channel in France has just had its license not renewed effectively. It's not been revoked as such. It's just not been reviewed. Partly because it doesn't actually do what it is legally supposed to do, and partly because it makes a horrendous loss. So Nigel Farage is attacking this as a blow against free speech, probably because he's a little bit worried and he's thinking to himself, hang on a minute, GB News is very similar. Doesn't obey broadcasting rules and is making hideous losses. Oh dear. His meal ticket may be going. But anyway, the reason why GB News struggle will be because of multiple factors, but I can talk reasonably expert about advertising. If you are an organisation which needs to make your money primarily from advertising, the last few years has not been the best. Even ITV were complaining about it in late 2023. So let me show you under the bonnet of my own channel. These are the average rates I've been getting per 1,000 views across the year on my own channel since I monetized content in early 2019. Now, there was a big jump from 2019 to 2020, but that was because I was just building the channel in 2019. Bigger channels with a larger audience get a premium from advertisers who will compete to have a slot on your channel. Another big jump up in 2021, because it has to be said, we had a few problems with the economy for much of 2020. But then a gradual decline in 2022, 2023 and 2024 after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Because actually 2022 up to that point was looking much better. And then, no. Real terms income struggled, so advertising budgets were tightened. Obviously, particularly in the UK, if you double the cost of energy, all of a sudden people don't have as much money to spend on other things. So slimmer pickings for the benefits of advertising. And the same thing's been happening with broadcasters who need advertising as well. It's not just on YouTube. Like I say, even ITV were complaining about it in 2023. Nobody was boycotting them. But speaking of which, as well as the natural decline in advertising rates over the past few years, GB News have that other problem. Because their content is so unpalatable to a lot of decent people, campaigns have been run to get consumers to boycott brands which advertise with them. This isn't like a political thing as such. We're not boycotting brands that advertise, for example, with the Sun or the Daily Express, although some people may do that on a smaller scale. No, this is GB News who really do leap across bounds of decency. And the biggest campaigns have come from organisations like Hope Not Hate. The Stop Funding Hate campaign in particular has focused on this. They have been pretty successful in persuading some brands to stop advertising on the channel. In fact, when I look at the list of advertisers on GB News, and have done for the past few years, it's almost exclusively brands I don't use anyway. It's no big deal. Warburton's is the only brand who recently used products that I like. And so I have boycotted. So I've personally not had to change my shopping habits very much at all. There is a regularly updated list of GB News advertisers on the Stop Funding Hate website. Not that I'm suggesting people have to boycott brands that advertise there. Like, boycotting is always a personal matter to people, should be. I never call for people to do it themselves. I just might talk now and then about my own habits. And I only boycott those who really go beyond the pale. So basically Wetherspoons, Dyson, and anyone who advertises on GB News, all fairly low-key. I don't even consider products made by any of Musk's companies because so that's not a consideration for me. I would never even think about it anyway. But anyway, the point is that GB News really struggling for advertising, Dosh. Not only has there been a decline in advertising spending, which I can see in my own analytics, But with fewer brands wanting a slot on GB News, I know how it works, it's extra cheap to advertise there. Advertisement slots are effectively an auction. If there are fewer interested parties, the auction tends not to be as profitable. Maybe this is what tempted Heinz and M&S, with the latter claiming to be a supporter of LGBTQ plus communities, despite how GB News have recently been attacking them. You know, or maybe it's just a combination of competitive rates to advertise on GB News and maybe their marketing department thinking that the views on the channel are now good enough that it's worth taking the bad press over it. But that is now going to be put to the test according to an article in Byline Times. Because up to now, like Warburton's, as I say, that was the only brand I had to actively avoid putting in my basket. But they were recently joined by two others that I buy regularly, Heinz, Marks and Spencer's. Word went out they were advertising at the weekend. I was very disappointed. So now I'm going to have to go without my Heinz mulligatawny soup, which is really nice. Bit of a shame. And no more Ocado shops. Now, I didn't expect my wife to join in, but she's boycotting M&S as well. So I promised to make her the pea fish cake she really likes from there. I bet mine are better anyway. I'll report back. But anyway, get to the point, Phil. According to the article, over 10,000 Stop Funding Hate supporters have contacted M&S directly or signed a petition asking them to reconsider. I myself made clear that I will not be shopping at either M&S or through Ocado until I am satisfied they are no longer funding the sort of content which GB News loudly promotes. Now, this could get very interesting. It's quite high risk for both sides here. If M&S, who are a large corporation, if they get enough criticism, especially from people who actually shop there, because there's no great strength in a boycott from people who shop at like Aldi or Tesco, they may pull that advertising. This will be a powerful blow for the strength of consumer power. Remember, most corporations are not campaign groups, and we don't expect them to be. I don't care what the political views of a company are as such, but there are just some values which are important enough to be a red line. But Byline reports that a pro-GB News group are also encouraging supporters to contact M&S to praise them for their move. So this is quite binary now. Who's the most powerful group of consumers? Consumer power has shown its teeth plenty of times in multiple countries over the years. It's been especially powerful in reducing the pool of advertisers on GB News. And as I explained earlier, this is absolutely hitting their coffers. The more advertisers there are bidding for a slot, the more it costs those advertisers. So restricting that pool means GB News get even lower advertising rates than other broadcasters, and the advertising sector is not exactly experiencing a golden age right now. If M&S pull their advertising campaign, it means that progressive consumers are still a powerful force. If not, it means we're losing ground to organised regressive forces. If M&S pull their advertising, it could act as a warning to other brands who might be thinking of changing their policies, and will certainly embolden people that are urging brands not to fund hate that it works. If they don't pull their advertising, it does the reverse. It might embolden regressive campaigners and also make other brands think that the fuss has died away and they may start advertising too. And if more advertisers start wanting to advertise on GB News, the competition for auction of those slots means more money for GB News. They will get more money per advert. So this has become quite high stakes now. Just last year, Nigel Farage was complaining about advertisers not supporting GB News. They've been going through funding problems, so you could see the strain starting to show. Progressive consumerism, get it right, effectively put economic sanctions on GB News. There is a risk now that those sanctions have been weakened via the back door, just like our Russian sanctions, if this now fails. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.